Talking to Frosty podcast, the show where I get to hang out and talk to some of my more interesting, sometimes strange, and just sometimes downright weird friends. So sit back, turn off your brain, and turn up your radio. Thank you for tuning in, and welcome to the show. All right, here we are once again. Thank you for tuning in to the Talking to Frosty podcast. I am here with my good friend Patrick. Patrick I've known for about 5-6 years, I believe. Has an interesting story about lots of life and has lived lots of life.
Damn, making me seem old.
Right? So, how do you say your last name?
Claffey, it's a fine Irish name.
Oh, okay, good. I always say that there's nothing worse than screwing up a person's name.
Oh, man,
like
it's the worst.
every time I take a delivery, which by the way I work at Dominos Pizza. Some people tell me that it's that I should get a real job, and I'm like, well, it's kind of hard to walk away from like a $35 an hour job. So a lot of other places I've worked at, and shipyards, and been a longshoreman. I've been a merchant marine, been a welder, done construction, done all these really, really hard jobs. Broken my back twice, have bad knees, ankles. A lot of places I've tried to work at have always said, like, they make you stop so they can tell you to go faster. And I'm going as fast as I can. And I am only 49 years old. So I'm still just a kid, but as fast as I'm going is as fast as it's probably gonna happen. But the cool thing about working at Domino's is like they fucking love me there. Like I'm a rock star, deliver pizzas and make tips. It's like one of the funnest jobs I've ever had, and that's where I got to meet my good friend Patrick. Patrick came in one day with some other guys that were pretty official looking, and we got to talking about stuff. And one thing that I thought was pretty cool was we were talking about punk rock. And, usually, like, most people will say, like, oh, I like punk, and they always list, like, the same, the Ramones, it's like, fuck, everybody knows who the Ramones are. Like, that's not, yeah, it's punk rock, but it's not like, Patrick starts talking about, like, the Subhumans and stuff, and I was like, oh, all right, all right, this is one of my kind of people, so, I don't know, I guess I'll just let you take it away and talk a little bit about, like, where you're from, and are you from this area?
Absolutely not. So, I should have been. It's a beautiful place. Moved here in 96. Born in Phoenix, Arizona. Army brat, so been everywhere, including Korea. Lived in Korea for a few years. Got to hang out in Japan and bounce around, and then eventually moved back to El Paso, Texas.
Just because your parents are in the military?
Yeah, right. Okay. Army brat. So, my dad tried to get me to join. I don't know, numerous times had me take the ASVAB, the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery.
That's
basically,
what that is?
That's what that is. That's a Bible that says you are smart enough to handle X. So, but I saw what it was like. My dad was in it, and he's toting us around the country, following him. I'm like, I'm not doing that shit. 4 a.m, getting up, alarms going off, and sirens going off. I'm like, no, I'm not good. I'm not good with that. I'll do something else. So
was his alarm clock like a siren or?
No, in Korea, this was in Korea. I should have pointed that out. But in Korea, these sirens would go off. You could hear across the city. Of course, his alarm would go off, and he'd be up getting his BDUs on and heading on in to, I guess, save the world or whatever. But I was like, no, I like my sleep, so I'll pass. He was a re-up guy. They call him re-up. So if your tour of duty is ending and you're getting out of the military, he's the guy that talks you into staying. He wasn't too successful because he couldn't even get me to start. So
yeah, I've always thought, if I had my life to do over again and knew what I knew now or something, I'd probably go in the Navy. Like everybody I've ever heard that has, been in the Navy and stuff always has like the best stories, and they've seen the world, and they get these cool pensions and get to go to these cool colleges and like learn all kinds of cool stuff. And
when you're a squid or whatever, then when you cross the equator, there's some crazy drunken party on the boat, and it's all kinds. I've had a couple friends in the Navy tell me some stories going, man, you guys, I thought I knew how to party. You guys are writing a new chapter.
Yeah, that and just all the weird war stories and just terrifying things and stuff. You know, I've heard my dad say when he was drinking and stuff, just always made me think like, nah, it's cool. I mean, I don't know. When I was a kid, I didn't really have much going for me and stuff. So it probably would have been a good idea and stuff. But I also landed into a little bit of not legal trouble, but like some other kind of trouble that led me to not be able to join the Marines, which, I don't know. I kind of wanted to do the Marines, I don't know why. I just thought it would be kind of, I was like a tough kid and everything and stuff. Right. So I thought like, maybe, I don't know what I was thinking, but,
They don't like rabble rousers.
They don't like people that have nervous breakdowns and end up in psychiatric care facilities.
I could see that.
Yeah. But, so yeah, I think one of the great stories I had heard Patrick was talking about was when you were maybe like not a general manager, right?
No, when you talking about Waco?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was a supervisor, so I oversaw like 10 stores, 10 corporate stores, and one of them happened to deliver close to the Waco compound. It was actually in Mount Carmel, which is kind of close to a little community called Belmead, Texas, and we had a store in Belmead. It's near Waco, and it's pretty weird. We didn't really know much was going on out there until the shit hit the fan, as they say. So we were party to feeding everybody out there, the FBI, the ATF, the Sheriff's Department, or whoever the hell else was out there. And we had to go out there, and there was a media checkpoint. Of course, pizza is powerful. Apparently, we got to go beyond the media checkpoint and then to the first, I guess, compound of all these guys that were working together, ATF, FBI, and all that stuff. And yeah, so kind of cruised up to that, and the last camp was CNN. So as I was actually delivering the pizza, so as my car got close to that last camp, because they pay the best money to get closest, right? Lights flood on. They see my uniform and like, oh, it's just Domino's. So as soon as they turned the lights on, they turned them off, and I was like, oh man, there was my claim to fame. In an instant, I did catch it on the CNN news reel, but they didn't say anything about Domino's. It just said looked like activity. The activity was people need to eat, and we were delivering pizza. So it's
good.
Cool.
That's cool. So you've lived a pizza life, have you not? Or like
oh yeah.
What other kind of jobs you had?
Pretty much pizza, but I've done a couple burrito shops. Always food. Everything I've done has been food. It's kind of weird. Yeah, in '83 I came back to El Paso, military kid, right? So from Korea to El Paso, went to school for computer programming, and I was delivering pizzas, and I was digging how much money I was making. I'd be the most responsible employee on the planet or kid on the planet, and I'd have one weekend to make my car payment. So that's how good I was with my money. And then of course you just work 20 hours through the weekend, make enough money to make your car payment. So next thing you know, parents were moving to Joplin City, Missouri or something. I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm out. I was 18, so I stayed in El Paso. And next thing you know, you get into management, and then your life begins, and you go from there.
So what do you call yourself these days? What's your title, would you say?
I'm a director of operations.
What exactly do you do?
I just work with the 6 supervisors that kind of oversee anywhere from 6 to 7 stores apiece, and kind of help them out. That's pretty much it. Anything pizza involved related to that, you got it.
Cool.
Yeah. I want to say it was at Belltown where I met you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then from there, just getting people to understand how much fun they can have with the job. To your point, the people that stick around are people that figure out how to have fun with it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's kids I talk to, some of the time that are, don't have any real like plans or anything, and they're like 20 years old. I'm always trying to tell them to go to school and stuff, and they're always, I don't know. I think it's good for a kid to go to school and learn how to do something. Otherwise, he's going to be doing this for however long, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I mean, unless you're like advancing or something, you can't just be a driver your whole life if you want. Or, I mean, I guess you could, but I don't know. People always ask me why I do it, And I always say that, like, you know, I'm just cruising, you know, like I'm kind of old now and stuff, and I've had all those really hard jobs and everything, and I never went to school, and I always kind of wished I had learned how to do something other than just, like, you know, lift with the legs and not with the back. And
Right.
you know, sorry, I've had those jobs like my whole life, and you know, I don't regret them or anything, but I mean, I just kind of wish that I'd, you know, listened to myself now back then or something. Would have been,
Right, of course.
cool. But yeah,
Right. But I mean, the cool thing about, you can take a job and pour yourself into a job, or you can take a job that offers you freedom.
sure,
I think that's one of the cool things about, you know, if a store's managed well enough, you can have some freedoms and do what you want to do.
yeah,
And from doing what you want to do, more opportunities create, you know, pop out of that, I guess.
yeah,
I mean, I went to school for computer programming, so I was learning how to write programs in the 80s. If you're like, they had computers back then? I'm like, okay, that's really
they
fun.
did, but I don't know how
Right,
to
right.
navigate them. Yeah,
So we were making programs back then, so I think I'd have an affinity to not worry about computers. I mean, some people look at them, they get confused and scared, and shuts them down. And I'm like, it's just a computer.
they were kind of
man.
scary.
Figure it out, you know. So and then the company went digital. So a lot of shit I do is I'm already pre-wired for it, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other cool thing I like about these jobs is that I have a mantra that I've been saying for years. It's just pizza. Like, it's
Yeah.
just pizza. It's not medical supplies. Nobody's gonna fucking die
calm
if they
down,
don't get
right?
their pizza right away or something. You know, and usually everybody's pretty happy, you know, when they do get it and stuff. You know, except for the people that, I don't know, just like complain about everything.
Well, yeah. I mean,
suppose, yeah.
we got those people that you think you ruined their week because a pizza was late or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, so it's my fault that your kids are starving because they're
Yeah.
like,
But you learn how to cook.
All right, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
You feel like, you know, you just killed one of their firstborns or something.
It's weird. Yeah, people are strange. I actually kind of made a deal with one of the managers. I don't like answering the phone. Like I'm okay with, like, you know, helping carry outs and stuff like that, and
Right.
taking orders and stuff. But talking on the phone, it's just I hate talking to my own mother on the phone. Like, the phone rings and I instantly have an anxiety attack. Even today, I hate talking on the phone.
It's the psyche. It's weird because you'll have people that will do anything but want to talk to a carryout.
Yeah.
Somebody's walking in, and that's like, you know, I like to interact with people socially just to kind of find out, you know, it's easy to make them happy. You got 3 ovens behind you, you have freaking lava cakes in to walk in, and anything you can do to make them happy is just sitting right there in those ovens. And why wouldn't you want to just have a conversation with them?
Sure.
Like, last week you guys crapped on my blah blah and ruined my what? Well, how can I make it up to you?
Sure.
Well, I want a free pizza. Well, okay, I'll get you a free pizza.
Sure. Why not? They only cost like a nickel to make, or
Oh, I sure
whatever.
wish. I would hope so.
So back to punk rock. Like, how did you find that?
Dude. So, you know, living overseas and then just the eclectic group of people that you run into, and then just the different musics and all that. You know, you get exposed to a lot of different stuff, which is kind of nice. So coming back to El Paso was just kind of weird because, you know, my first concert was Rush and Pat Travers.
Cool.
Right. So, and I was, you know, I didn't know what was going on back then. You got music when you're in Korea. You don't have a whole lot. You got your friends. They didn't really regulate how you got your hands on alcohol in Korea. Little known fact, back then in Korea, they didn't know how to produce marijuana. So if you did get some local herb, it would give you a headache, and it was just bad stuff. So, but anyhow, music was a big mainstay. I mean, I remember going through a bundle of like just unsold albums at the local post exchange, and they would hit these circles in the end of them, like a punch out, like on your when you turn in your wallet.
The promos, yeah.
And I remember grabbing U2's first album out of that, going, "Hey, these guys are pretty good." And that was 1981, so I mean, you can imagine. So I got exposed to a lot of different music. Just coming back here, or coming back to El Paso, the States, to the world, as they say back then. You know, got exposed to Black Flag, Crass, right? I was telling you about some experience with that music, but just all the different musics that my friends liked, and it was kind of an unwritten rule. Like if your friends were going to a show or they wanted you to listen to music, you listened to it with them, right? And everybody had their flavor, and I picked up some of those flavors. I got really hooked into Metallica, early Metallica.
Good stuff.
Some of the speed metal stuff back when that stuff was getting strong. Just exposure. I mean, if you looked at my playlist, you'd be like, oh, I never heard of that, or I don't know if I'd listen to that. And then you're like, oh, that's mainstream, or oh, what's this? Just eclectic in my palate.
Oh, you have to be.
Like,
yeah.
right?
I mean, you can't just listen to, bang bang,
right.
fucking pissed off shit every minute of every day.
But yeah, I mean, I look at music as fuel. Mm-hmm. So depending on what I'm trying to get done, music will fuel me through it mentally. Music is life,
Absolutely.
So I got my Edifer speakers over there. I haven't found my turntable yet. That's why this room looks like a holy terror.
I just got some of those about a month ago. The ones I got have a subwoofer connection to it or something.
Oh wow!
So it just fills the room. These speakers are really good.
They're real rich, right, and especially on a turntable.
Yeah.
There's something about throwing a needle on vinyl, man. People I don't think people appreciate it as much.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there's it's definitely made a comeback. I've got my wife and I have not like millions, but we both have really healthy record collections. I probably have about 10 black records. All the rest are all colored vinyl and stuff, and I really like weird stuff not like weird, but I don't know. I've really gotten into like stoner doom.
Stoner doom.
Oh man, doom metal is is just awesome. That's really cool, by the way. He is holding up a Rush Moving Pictures record in a cool frame.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was neat, so I
got
cool.
it. Did you put that in there yourself like that, or?
Oh hell no.
Oh.
That was lock, stock, and barrel delivered.
Nice.
I wish I could do that. Should I do that? For a living.
Shit. Did you ever get to see any of those old bands or anything like that, like Crass? Or you ever see those?
Well, I think I told you about the Black Flag show that we went to, and it was at an old. Back then, it was a Walmart, I think, that had closed down, or they'd moved to a bigger venue. Walmart, the big Goliath. And before the show we were going to go see, it turned into a typical Black Flag concert, and they were starting to throw the chairs around and out the glass of the front of the whole
nice.
building, and it turned into a big party, and that took care of that venue, so they had to cancel the show. So I never really got to see any good live shows.
Where was this at?
Little guys. This was in it was in El Paso. Excuse me. Coming back from Korea, we were stationed at Fort Bliss, I want to say. Fort Hood is in Killeen. We moved to Killeen. But Fort Bliss is in El Paso.
Okay.
That's where I really got exposed to a lot of different music. That's where I saw Rush and Pat Travers in not Alamogordo, but a little border town on New Mexico from El Paso. We went to see Cheap Trick and Night Ranger.
Suck.
There you go. Cheap Trick and Night Ranger.
Wow, that'd have been cool. Yeah. Isn't it? Night Ranger's the one.
Don't Tell Me You Love Me, and what is it? Sister Christian.
Sister Christian, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a famous one by them.
They didn't put on that great a show. Now, Cheap Trick is Cheap Trick. They always put on a good show.
Yeah. So it was like a Coliseum show or something, or?
That one, where was that? In El Paso. It was wasn't a huge venue. It was kind of like maybe, I couldn't even tell you where it was. It's been a few years, but yeah, you just go to the parties, man. We always did the pre-funk, as they say nowadays, but I didn't realize it was a thing back then. But we would get nice and juiced up before the show, and then you enjoyed it more.
Oh yeah, well I mean the drinks inside are, like $1 million anyway.
Well, back then they wouldn't even allow alcohol being sold in there. So
really?
So you had to kind of you had to smuggle your stuff in and stuff. True story. I remember that much at least, because I remember we had to hit it hard. Especially before that Rush concert, we drove to, I want to say it was Las Cruces. There's some big Pan Am Center or something back then in Las Cruces, and we got a hotel room, so everybody showed up there as the day grew on until everybody got ready to go to the show.
Yeah.
So we were nice and saucy by the time we got to the show.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember there's been a couple times where like I got to go to Seahawk games and stuff with friends of mine, and they and you know you go to breakfast first and then just go straight to the whatever bar, just get as drunk as you can, because I mean the drinks inside are like $18 now or something for like
so
one
stupid.
beer. It's so dumb. Yeah, it's crazy. And then all they have is like Budweiser anyway, so it's like.
Right.
But at that point, we were so wasted that like even Budweiser, doesn't even taste as bad as it usually does if you're sober. But
true fact on this, the ridiculous prices that you get charged now.
Yeah.
I mean can't be making money off the tickets. Definitely making money off all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Brady, I've done the Northern Loop, which is like a 40-mile loop. Mount Rainier has two big loops. The Northern Loop is one of them. It's about 40 miles. It doesn't go around the whole thing.
Do you hike it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then I want to call it Paradise Loop or whatever, but it's 90 miles. It's around the entire mountain.
That's what somebody was telling me about. That was like some hike that goes around the base of the mountain, basically. And it's just like a you camp and hike and.
Well, what you do is you just kind of pluck off 10, 15 miles a day. And get up early, 6 in the morning, whatever, and break camp 7, and take off until 3 or 4, and then set up camp and whatever. Do it.
Did somebody pick you up or something?
No, you just go around the whole damn mountain that way, and then you come back to where you started.
Oh, okay.
Right. So right.
Okay.
So we do one big trip a year where we'll do, I don't know. Rick, a buddy of mine down out of Phoenix, kind of manages it all, so he gets us all together. We're called the Canyon Crew.
Oh, cool.
Right, we have T-shirts made every year. We go somewhere crazy. Our craziest gig was, I'd have to say, was Glacier over near the Montana border with Canada.
Oh, okay. Huh.
And we actually woke up to a grizzly that came into the camp about 11 o'clock at night.
Wow.
Freaked all of us out. Didn't really do anything, just got a little irritated with us. We made enough noise, and I guess where there was enough of us that the bear said, nah, maybe I'll pass. These youngsters can go back to sleep. And then the next day, as we were getting up, the light came up. We saw the grizzly and its cub or whatever, like probably a mile away, and it was still easily visible, so that kind of gives you an understanding of how big this damn grizzly was.
Sure.
So yeah, but that one was a cool one. You're just nice, pristine trails that aren't really traveled well, because we do this permitting where you're going in deep. I mean, when you first get there, that first night at the base camp, there's a lot of people there, so it's a touristy thing. But once you take off and go in 10, 15 miles, all of a sudden, nature it's just you and nature, and there's not much else around there. You might see a couple people along the way, but that's very rare. It's just you and the bears and the deer.
I like that kind of stuff. Like one time I was up in Alaska, and we were in this biplane, and they would hand out earplugs and stuff because the engines were so loud.
Oh, man.
And it wouldn't fly like too far off the. I mean, it wasn't like a 30,000 feet in the air kind of thing or something like a regular plane, but like you could see the ground and everything, and you'd be flying over places where you just look and you could kind of almost make out trails, but you don't know if anybody's ever walked these places before,
right.
If humans have ever been here before. It's pretty wild. Like,
right.
I like stuff like that. Like,
out in the boonies.
Yeah, just out in the middle of the tundra or something, and there's a lot of Alaska that's like that.
Yeah, I always wanted to go to that. I think they got rid of the bus. Remember that? I forget the name of that.
Oh, that weird movie.
What was his name?
Jeez, I don't remember.
He actually lived in the bus and died on the bus.
Yeah.
They had the bus out there for a while. I think I just heard that they removed it or something.
I don't know. What was that movie even called? I can't remember.
Into the Wild?
Into the Wild, yeah.
It was pretty cool. I always wanted to go do it one of these days until I found out they got rid of it.
Like sleep in the bus and stuff? Or?
Well, they got rid of the bus because it was creating too much danger, because then all these people were trying to go to it. It's kind of like me, right?
It's like cutting me off. People trying to go to places that are in movies or something. Yeah.
They end up in the in the shit and can't get out of the shit.
Yeah.
So, But yeah, we a couple of weird stories. So on we went to Henderson, Nevada. It was the Ruby Mountain Range, not to be confused with the other Ruby Mountain Range. I guess the Ruby Ridge or whatever. Remember that?
Oh, okay.
Some bad stuff happened out there. But Ruby Mountain Range in Henderson, Nevada. We show up, do our little tailgate camp before we hit the trail. Go in, and then the next day we wake up and there's some weird clouds coming up behind one of the ridges. And we're like, hey, I don't remember seeing clouds. And come to find out it was a wildland fire that had kind of gotten a little out of control. Some gun range, somebody errant bullet started a fire, whatever. So we're like, hey, it seems to be getting more robust. There's more clouds. So then we had a sat phone, like a little emergency phone, if we got lost or whatever, if something happened. But anyhow, you could text on it. So we texted one of the guys that couldn't make it. He called the sheriff's department, found out, yeah, there's a fire. You guys need to get out of there. Like,
oh, jeez.
Like, oh. So which way do we go? And so stay put. We'll tell you where to go. Like,
yeah.
All right. So then day goes along, nothing happens, and more smoke. We're like, all right. So we texted him again. He said, well, sheriff says, load up your stuff, get your camp broken down. You have to go up canyon 14 miles, and then they'll pull you out. This time it was like 2 p.m. Like, up canyon 14 miles, it'll be pitch black.
Pitch black,
like,
yeah.
Whatever. So like, we're like, when you get news like that, like you might not make it because you might get, burnt up, right? Kind of a motivator. So we packed all the shit up and started jogging. Right as we were leaving camp, he said they changed the fire changed directions. You have an opportunity to get a window out of where you actually have your cars parked. We thought our cars were done already. We didn't understand what they meant by that, but we're like, whatever. So we start humping it, a bunch of 50-year-olds, right? Moving faster than you would think is humanly possible for a bunch of 50-year-olds.
Sure.
We start heading down, and then this helicopter comes around, and he's like circling us, and it looks like he's waving at us, and we're like waving back, and then it just takes off and goes back to where we're hiking, where our base camp was, where our vehicles were, and then like, oh, everything's safe, everything's good, we're gonna be all right. And then it just takes off and leaves. Then we're like, what the heck is that about? So we huff it down there. Good news is the sheriff's waiting for us down there, and we got to talking to the guy as we're driving through all the burnt area, right? And he says, that guy wasn't waving at you, he was counting you, because apparently we were the last ones on the mountain.
Jeez.
Like, oh, that's cool. And we're driving through all this stuff. I go, well, what's the big deal now if it's shifted the other way? He goes, oh, now we don't have to worry about fire anymore, we have to worry about flooding. I'm like, what?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, rain's going to come in, there's nothing to hold it back because it's all burnt up, and then you guys would probably been flushed out. Like, I'm like, oh, well, that took care of that trip. Took the whole 2 days. So that was my brush with death.
Yeah.
The latest one. So.
Sure. Yeah, fear is a great motivator.
Oh man.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how old you are. I mean, if there's like a fire coming or something, I mean, just try to get out of there. Yeah. One of the questions I have is kind of like a after COVID bucket list. Did it change my perspective? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing. Yeah. There were so many things that like a lot of people took for granted. That they should have done, and then they just sort of put it off, and then COVID happened, and then everything just kind of stood still for. We thought it was the end of the world. There was, we were kind of basically preparing to
right.
Probably never see our friends again, or our families, or whatever, or go anywhere
zombie apocalypse,
again.
right?
Yeah, never. Right. Like nothing was going to happen or something. And now that everything's opening back up, I think a lot of people are starting to start to realize like life is too short to just go to work and go home and do nothing and stuff. We're
right.
gonna start doing stuff. Is there anything like that? Like any hikes or anything you want to do? Or
just for me, the pandemic meant just work a lot. Like I didn't have a whole lot of time to give a whole lot of thought to what you're saying. But I do have a bucket list of things that I've always wanted to do, whether the pandemic fast forwarded that at all. But one of the things I really want to do is go to Barrett Jackson. I want to go to a Barrett Jackson and be in the I might not buy anything because I can't afford that stuff, but
Sure.
it'd be nice to be there and be that close to all those nice freaking cars. And
There's some pretty nice cars around here.
Right.
There's a guy just as I was pulling into the neighborhood here or something, had a couple of cool cars over here.
Yeah, this guy on the end,
Yeah.
I think he races them or something.
Oh wow.
He's always got cars up and down the. Oh yeah. And then there's an Enumclaw. There's some indoor car place with some high end cars.
So you're a car enthusiast?
I love cars, man.
Yeah.
Love cars.
Yeah. I once had a 1950 Plymouth Super Deluxe.
Oh.
That
Wish you could have your hands back on that bad boy.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. Yeah, it was cool. It was fun. It was easy to work on.
Right.
Cool thing about old cars is like, you just open it up and you can pretty much see the problem. Unless it's like a carburetor or something like that.
Right.
You could pretty much fix it.
Even those, they're
Yeah.
mechanical, right?
Yeah.
I mean, remember back in the day, you could work on the distributor and the points and get anything to fire up, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, you got to get this computer checked and that computer checked. I liked working on cars.
Yeah. My dad and his brothers worked on their cars a lot when they were kids, and they're like the greaser type dudes and stuff, troublemakers, I guess. It's weird to like open up a car hood now or something, like everyone, like one time I opened it up and I was like, where's the engine at? I don't even know what's it even look like in here? Like how do, I don't know. And then there's like, I think it's a conspiracy that like, maybe the car companies or something, like back in the day you could buy a car and you could pretty much work on it yourself. But now you got to take it somewhere and, there's no way you can work on it yourself. I mean, maybe into like the 80s and stuff was like the last like real decade or something where they had cars that you could kind of figure out or your buddy was a mechanic or something and could do it for you or whatever. You and your brother could work on cars and stuff. My brother was like an amazing car guy. Like we'd one of my first cars was a Chevy Celebrity. I remember one day we'd take out a piece and then he'd kind of look at something. He'd be like, I think this might be the problem here, and we'd take it out and take it down the shucks or something, and they had this thing where like you gave them your old piece and then they would give you a discount on the new one or something. And
right.
What they called it, like bring in your core or something. The core. And so you bring that in and there would be a starter or an alternator or something like that or whatever. And I remember one time we took in the fuel pump and my brother was like trying to not seem like he didn't know what he was talking about, but he's like, I just need a new one of these. And he goes, the guy behind the counter is like, fuel pump? And he goes, yeah, fuel pump or something. And that's how we kind of learned what the different pieces were because somebody else told us or something. But yeah, I remember one time I was just in the house and I just kind of given up and I don't remember like what I was doing, but I remember hearing the car like a bunch of bangs and backfires and my brother's in the driver's seat, like sitting there revving the gas and everything, and he got it started and we drove it for I don't know like a few blocks and it just died, and then we had to push it back and fix it some more, and then but like once we got that thing running and stuff, we were like driving down to the mall, and the thing was blue smoke everywhere, and we just thought we were so cool. We didn't have to take the bus, for like a little while or something, and
freedom, man, having your own wheels.
Yeah.
Huge freedom thing.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. The new cars today, I don't know. I mean, yeah, they're great and everything. You can gas mileage is way better and stuff, but I don't. There's like something where somebody was telling me that they had to get a headlight fixed, so they had to take the engine out of the car and like dig under all this stuff just to fix a headlight.
Oh yeah,
just
take a fender off, right?
Yeah, it's like what? That's crazy.
Great thought behind that.
Yeah. Somebody was making sure that the mechanics were getting, the other wheels were getting greased.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely, growing up, we'd always work on our own stuff, whether we were good at it or not. It's kind of your point, yeah, I think this might be what's wrong. Let's replace this maybe.
Sure.
Right? Or some of the places were getting pretty sophisticated. They could tell you pretty quickly whether it be, I don't know, like your battery. Remember, they could say, oh, is this battery good or bad, or get a new one.
Sure.
A buddy of mine had a Toyota Corolla that you couldn't make them break down, it seemed like, and we were going out to some drive-in way out outside El Paso, one of the last few drive-ins, and it broke down. It was putted over to the side of the freeway. We're like, we're out here in the middle of freaking nowhere. He busts out some electrical tape out of the glove compartment, goes over, gets a distributor that had a big crack in it, takes it off and makes sure everything's intact, puts it back down, squeezes it real good, wraps it with that electrical tape, fired right up, and we took off and went to the drive-thru. Like, holy
Nice.
crap.
Nice. Yeah.
That's when they made stuff that was just about ignition, combustion, and go.
Yeah.
Right? I don't need a foot warmer or a head scratcher. I just need something to just get the wheels turning.
Yeah. A driver. Yeah.
I saw somebody's making some pot shots at old people in these cars. You remember the old button for your high beams?
Oh, yeah.
Little steel button? Mm-hmm. This kid was in the car, like, just hitting the button. I don't know what this is for. It's like, okay, child. Let me educate you. Right.
That was just for high beams, though, right?
Right, just for high beams.
It wasn't turning.
No, just for high beams.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
Old school cars, man, they can get them going.
Plymouth Dusters had those in them. I remember a buddy of mine had a Plymouth Duster, and I always wanted that car. It's so bitchin'.
Right.
I never got one, but
it seemed hard to get your hands on a good classic car. Just something that wasn't, when you look at classic cars now, they're like Chevy Camaro, 69 Camaro SS or something.
yeah.
But the cars that I had back then was like the Chrysler Equinox Edition 2, or something that I'm just making that up. But they were never the cool tagged cars. You didn't have the money for those. You always got into what you can get in. I learned to drive on a Chevy Citation. I don't know if you remember those things.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, they were junk. It was part of our driver's ed. They made you take driver's ed back then.
Yeah. I had to take driver's ed. And a Buick LeSabre. I think it was from the 60s or something. It was cool.
They had an old school car for Zed?
Yeah. They had one kind of new one, and then like one that was it was, I don't remember what the new one was, but it was just white and kind of looked like a cop car or something. And then the Buick LeSabre was kind of older and stuff, and it had one of those brake things that went through to the passenger side, so the driver's ed teacher could hit the brakes.
Oh, nice.
Or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Was that one of those cars like you're driving a Cloud? The LeSabre? Like real soft ride?
Yeah, it was pretty soft. Yeah. I mean, it was really well maintained and stuff. I mean, they pretty much only used it for a driver's ed. So.
Do you remember your first accident?
Not really. I feel like I've gotten in a few, like not always like my fault. I hit like rear-ended a guy on the West Seattle Bridge or something when I was 2000 or something, but year 2000. But no, I hadn't really been in tons of accidents for
I remember my first accident is I was 16, just got my license. Just turned 16, so my permit, and now I could drive by myself. My dad had an old 98, it was like driving a flying saucer, had that 100 and big old for the speedometer, goes to 120, right? And we would bottom it out at 120, it would just kind of roll like that. I was racing a family friend that was older. It was supposed to kind of be watching over to make sure no shenanigans were going on, and of course I ended up racing this person in this old 98. the car, they're huge. I don't know if you've ever seen one from, I forget what year it was. It was probably a 74 or something. It was just old. Big, heavy rig, and I'm just nailing it. It had a 455 in it, so it had a whole lot of engine, but it was a big car. And weaving in and out of traffic trying to keep up with this person I was racing or chasing, and ended up rear-ending a tow truck.
Oh shit! I mean That's like breaking a leg outside of a hospital, right?
Right,
so
right.
So you're,
The good news is it wasn't. The 98 was not. Didn't bother the 98 at all. Nothing wrong with it. The tow truck had probably some, a little bit of damage to the bumper, but yeah, I was good to go.
Good.
But that was my first accident.
Yeah.
My fault totally. Racing, being a 16-year-old. Reason why our insurance doesn't go down till we're 25, right? Because we get behind the wheel and want to just go berserk, and that was me.
I got in one like weird accident in a parking lot. Like there was a guy that was following me like really close or something, and I think I couldn't see like his bumper. I could see like through his car in the rear view mirror or something. So I backed up like maybe an inch and hit the guy or something or whatever. But it was just, yeah, that was weird. Nothing. I never been anything like really cool, like and like hit a cop car or anything, or nothing really noteworthy or anything. But yeah, I've been in a few accidents.
Every time I've been in accidents, I've been stupid.
Yeah,
that's pretty much on me.
Any drunk driving or anything, or
no? Actually, I do remember drinking, and then not knowing how I got from point A to point B, but going out and looking in the driveway and there's my car and going,
that's crazy.
I got away with something there. I need to stop doing that. So.
Yeah. I used to drive drunk all the time when I was a kid. I was coming back from this party in the U District, and this cop was just kind of following me and stuff. He didn't have his lights on or anything like that or whatever. But it's weird, like when you're drinking and then you see a cop. It's like you just like you become the greatest driver of all time. Like things where you just normally space out, you become the greatest driver of all time. And then you sober up, like even though you're shit faced, you're like you do everything. Like okay, I'm about 40 feet from this turn. I should turn on the turn signal and apply the brake and then whatever. And then so I turned right thinking, this cop will just keep going straight. And he just followed me like all the way back to my house. And then he kind of like, I got in the driveway. He kind of parked across the street, and then I tripped on like my seatbelt or something. I got out and I tripped. I should have just. I didn't like fall on the ground, but I tripped. And then the cop like just looked at me and shook his finger and was just like, "Don't do that," And I was like, "Hey, point taken."
He was looking out for you, man.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if they got a playbook, like they can see the different behavior. Like, oh yeah, that guy was definitely driving drunk, and then all of a sudden he noticed me, and then all of a sudden he got very behaved in his driving style.
Yeah, there wasn't anything to pull him over for. Yeah,
they gotta have a playbook.
Yeah, he's probably like, well, he hasn't done anything to like, have.
Well, it's a good cop story. He's following you home,
sure,
making sure you're good.
Yeah. Every once in a while you get those.
Well, plausible deniability. So if you ended up wrapping it around a tree, you're like, well, I was gonna pull him over.
Yeah.
Just pulled up on this stuff.
So I was waiting for him to start, going into the other lane or something, but he didn't. So
Nice.
Yeah. So, are there any other conspiracies that you're into? Anything you give your attention to sometimes that might be kind of funny or
I wish I was, man. I don't think there's really. It's like anything that is ever done for anything is for a buck. It seems like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's nothing interesting about my life that any government agency really wants to know. It's just some marketing firm wants to know how to get more money out of my wallet, right?
Sure. And
then you got to get the government to slow down on taxing all the money you make, right? So you can actually do something with it, right? That's my conspiracy, is there's way too much tax on us, and our government just is so just wasteful on the way they use money.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me started on Seattle and the homeless crisis and what they're doing with that money, right?
One of the funny things I always thought was kind of crazy, speaking of like government kind of stuff, and I don't know if it's government, but I know that the city, or if it's I'm not sure if it's the city of Chicago or if it's the whole state of Illinois, but they had all these tolls like on the bridges and stuff, and you got to pay these tolls now. Mm-hmm. And somebody was saying that like they initiated this toll for the bridge in Chicago, and once it was all paid off, they just left the tolls up. Like they don't need the money for anything. And they don't even spend it on the roads, because if you've been to Chicago, I mean, there's some really fucked up roads. I mean, it may as well just be like dirt roads, or full of potholes and rocks,
So no idea what they do with the money now.
Yeah, I mean, nobody knows. I mean, somebody's getting their, somebody's making millions a day, but nobody knows who. But
well, isn't that the impetus of so much political corruption right in there?
Yeah.
I don't know. At least I've heard some shady stuff, right?
Yeah. In any of your hikes, you ever go to Ozette?
Why does that sound familiar?
Ozette's out on the coast. It's kind of up by like Squim, I believe.
No, I haven't. I think I might have seen it. I went to. We got a trailer. We went out to. What's that? There's some really cool place up there, up on the coast. Like you got Hoquiam, Aberdeen, and then all the way up to La Push.
Yeah. Oh,
so
somewhere beautiful.
It's like somewhere in the middle there. I'll remember it in a minute, but it's like It's like a little slice of Hawaii in Washington.
Yeah. There's this Ozette loop, and you park in this parking lot, and then it's like a boardwalk that goes all the way out to the coast, and it goes through the rainforest, and there was this Boy Scout trip that I went on, and then after this trip, I didn't really do anything with Boy Scouts after. But so you'd hike out to the coast, and there was like these, I think it's called petroglyphs, or like people from the, I don't know if they were carving into rock or if they're like just drawing in the mud, and then the mud turned into rocks. And
right.
Who knows? But I mean, there's all kinds of like things that people would do, like when they're like basically praying, I guess, or like wishing for things. There'd be pictures of a guy holding like a big fish or something, and you can put your finger into them and almost feel like the energy of these people or something. But then there was like these cool pictures of like these people, and then there'd be like a kind of an oval shape above them. One of the scout leaders was saying that like he probably thought that meant that person saw a UFO. Yeah. You ever see anything like that, or?
Never seen any UFOs, ghosts, none of that. I always want to.
Yeah.
Never really.
It seems like something that you don't really ever like see if you're looking for it, but you just kind of you see it by accident or something or whatever.
Well, you feel energies, to your point.
Yeah.
I've gone through that, but I don't know if that's psychosomatic or whatever. But you ever seen any ghosts or anything?
Oh yeah. There's a place between Seattle and Bellevue called Mercer Island.
Oh yeah.
And there was my mother belonged to this Kiwanis group out there, and it was they have this like a fireworks stand every year, and they would pay me to basically sleep in front of it or something in my car, and just make sure the kids in the neighborhood didn't mess with it or anything and stuff. And that place is super haunted. Mercer Island is like crazy haunted.
Whoa! Yeah. Did not know that. So what?
Well, there was like a there's kind of unexplainable stuff, a lot of energies and stuff, and there's like I think Mercer Island was the first place where they had a mental institution or something. There's a place called Luther Burbank Park, and there's like a foundation down there in kind of the north end of the park, and it's like I think because they didn't have it's kind of like Alcatraz, I guess. It was kind of like they didn't have bridges to
the whole island,
or something.
I guess, right?
Yeah, you had to take a ferry to it back in the olden times or something. So, but kind of weird.
So did you
like
see
that.
stuff while you were hanging out there?
I saw like an old lady once that like didn't have a face in a parking lot and stuff, and that was pretty weird. That's a problem with the Irish people. People say like, oh, we'll just have a beer with our lunch, and it's like, well, it doesn't really work because I don't know. Sometimes I'll be doing videos of people, and they'll be like, yeah, let's go out to lunch or something. I'm like, all right, and then they're like, do you want a beer? I'm like, no. They're like, well, I thought you were like a beer drinker. I was like, well, like I am, but do you want to do the rest of this video today, or are we done? Because usually drinking is like the end of the day or something.
Right,
it's not the middle of the day.
Yeah, I remember you sending me a bunch of pictures from Jacked Up Pizza. And
bring menus.
Right.
Menus from weird places.
That was like serious entertainment, because right when you did that,
yeah,
we had a bunch of people from remember I was telling you, bunch of people from UK coming over to visit stores. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. You know, like bangers and mash or something.
Yeah, they have weird stuff on their menu. Like,
right.
Like you could get French fries with gravy on them. I guess it's called chips and gravy, I believe.
Right.
On the menu, a Domino's menu.
Well, Canada tried to reproduce that. It didn't turn out as
poutine.
well.
Yeah.
Poutine, yeah,
I think,
there you go.
Well, yeah, poutine, I don't know if it's like a rip-off from chips and gravy, but it's definitely like it's, there's French fries and gravy and cheese curds, and it's good for like if you've been drinking like a champion, that night or something, you don't want to be dying the next day. Like, go eat poutine because it's
kind of absorb all that crap.
Yeah. So you're not totally dying the next day. But every time I've been to Canada, I've been drunk like a few times, but like I never really been that hungover because their beer up there has different like purity standards than they do down here. Like down here, it's just all chemicals and stuff, and up there, it's like, I don't really know, like what
salt to the earth beer is what you're saying.
Something.
Stuff that maybe works better with your gastrointestinal.
I've been
brain.
I've been so drunk in Canada a couple of times where I thought like, oh God, I'm gonna be dying tomorrow, and wake up the next day and just have a breakfast and be like ready to go. Yeah. What's that? So
I said, wow. So getting arrested, it's all a pizza circle, man. It's hilarious. Yeah. So I came back from Korea in '83, right? And then I started going to school. And a buddy, my next door neighbor worked at this place called Pizza Pros. I'm like, oh, cool. He's like, hey, you want a job? I'm like, of course I want a freaking job. Back then it was, contrary to popular times, it was hard to get a job. You just didn't, jobs weren't hanging off of trees like they are now.
Like they are right now, yeah.
Right. So anyhow, I go there, and it was kind of like getting into the club because I had the interview set up. I didn't have to fill out an applicant or nothing. I was like, man, I feel like I've broken through here.
Just walking, right? Like a walk-on.
Right. So then I get hired on at this place called Pizza Pros, and this is back before the days of MVRs and getting your vehicle driving history checked. None of that. Like you could show insurance, and then you didn't have to show it anymore.
If your car ran, you're good to go. Yeah.
And then so anyhow. I drove for them for a while, and then in '86 I grew up into management, like I was telling you earlier. And then in '86 I bought a Mustang GT, the 5.0. So that thing was, all it meant was I was going to get shenanigans. I was going to get a lot of tickets, and of course I did. Got a lot of tickets and moved from Oklahoma to Fort Sill, which is where is that? Some other town in Texas. Fort Bliss. No, Fort Bliss is El Paso. Fort Sill is Lawton, Oklahoma. No, not Lawton. Jeez, man. I'll get it right here in a minute. Fort Hood is Killeen, Texas. There we go. I moved from Oklahoma to Killeen, Texas, and I started working for Domino's, and I didn't realize I had some unpaid tickets in Oklahoma from my '86 Mustang, and then got pulled over when I was on my way to a Christmas party, no less, for Domino's, and girlfriend was with me, thank God. Got pulled over and said, well, Mr. Claffey, you're gonna have to step out of the vehicle. I'm like, oh, all right. He goes, you put your hands on top of the vehicle, the whole thing, right?
Jeez.
Checked me out, and then he cuffed me and put me in the back of the squad car and said, well, you're being arrested for outstanding warrants. I'm like, oh man. So I went down to the little jail facility, went through the little different chambers and getting the weird looks and everything, and got to sit down and wait for the legal process to get my girlfriend to bail me out.
It fucking takes forever too.
Yeah. It was interesting.
They have the money in hand. They're standing right there. You can see them through the glass.
Right.
And you still got to wait 6 hours. Mm-hmm. It's like, God, what the fuck,
But it wasn't anything like, people say it. You're going to get roughed up by a bunch of guys that don't like the way you look or whatever. And just a lot of sitting on your butt waiting for the legal system to push you through the process. And there you go. I got out, paid my fines, got on the payment plan, and there you go.
Yeah. I've only been for like just drinking too much and just being an asshole, and then like falling down in the street or whatever, just drunk and disorderly, or fighting, or
Right.
or whatever. But
I can't imagine that. I don't see that. I don't think I've ever seen you under any influence.
No, I mean, we're always at work, so yeah.
We'll have to remedy that.
Oh well, there was the one time when I worked one time. I was totally shit faced. You weren't there, but Joey was there. I was having kind of some trouble sleeping or something one night, so I get off work. I closed, and then
that's when he called you in.
Called me in, yeah.
Right.
And I was like, "You don't want me to come in?" He's like, "I don't have anybody else," and I was just like, I just went to bed, and he's like, "Well." He tried calling a couple other people and stuff, and then called me back. He's like, "I got nobody," so I was just sitting there, like, went out to breakfast and stuff, tried to sober up as much as I could. I went to like this bar where my friend was a bartender, and was just like, I need to sober up so I can go to work for a couple hours, and so he gave me a couple of these bitters, drinks, and everything and stuff, and it didn't really do anything. Yeah, so I did work a shift like completely shit faced. And Joey was there, and I was kind of cussing a little bit because we were out of something, and I don't know why we'd been out of certain drinks or something for like a couple weeks or whatever, and I was just mad. I don't know. I think Joey was gonna fire me or something, and Tyler was like, he's the only one that could come in. So So you get what you get with that guy sometimes. He hasn't even been to bed. He told me he was totally wasted.
Right.
And so.
I remember that.
Whatever.
I remember him calling you in.
Yeah.
And saying you weren't in a good place. You'd been up all night or something. I can't remember exactly what he said.
Yeah.
So that's my story. I also got fired from Domino's.
From the one here in Washington, or
no? From when I was in Texas. Oh, when I got pulled over too, I just started working for Domino's. But it took a while so when you started working for Domino's back in the '80s, you'd give them your license information. They'd send all that stuff up to wherever, and in Dallas was our satellite office or regional office, whatever, and they would eventually get the results back on your driving history, and they called the store and said, "Hey, you gotta take that guy off the road. He's done until he gets the stuff cleared up." So the manager comes in and says, "Hey man, we gotta let you go until you get this stuff figured out." I'm like, "Damn, didn't even know." Back in the day. So I was a bad driver. I not bad as in accidents all the time, even though I shared that story where I was in an accident, hitting tow trucks.
Right foot. Yeah.
But I was I just liked speed, man. I like to haul ass.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they had you talked about tolls. So from Lawton, Oklahoma to Oklahoma City, I think they had something called the H.E. Bailey Turnpike, and it usually takes about an hour and a half. And no shit, I got there in my Mustang in 45 minutes from Lawton, Oklahoma to Oklahoma City. It was awesome. I had a good time.
Well, I mean, that was back in the day when it was 30 minutes or less, right? Or it was free.
Right, 30 minutes it's 30 minutes for free, then it was 30 minutes $3 off.
Yeah.
And then, they got...
People still try to get that out of me, and it's like, it's been 45 minutes. I'm like, well, yeah, so what? And they're like, well, isn't it free? I'm like, yeah, maybe in 1985.
Right.
But like, no, we don't do that anymore.
I asked that question to people. I go, when do you think Domino's got rid of the guarantee? You know when they got rid of the guarantee? You have any idea?
I don't know.
It wasn't really considered getting rid of the guarantee. It was getting rid of, changing the time limit to a product satisfaction guarantee. So if you don't like your pizza, whatever, for whatever reason, we'll remake it, whatever. But they had... in 1993, December of 1993 is when they suspended the guarantee. And I ask kids nowadays that just start for us and go, "Hey, when do you think Domino's got rid of it?" "Oh, 2010. I'm like, "No, it's been
a long
time. You weren't even born." So you set yourself up with some of those marketing campaigns, and that definitely was one of them.
Yeah. People are getting a lot of accidents and a lot of speeding tickets probably, and yeah. Because I don't even know, like, from the time you hang up the phone till it gets in the box and it's going into the car, it's already been like 7 or 8, maybe 10 minutes or something.
Right.
Depending on where this person lives or whatever kind of like directions they set for you or whatever. I mean, it could just be anything. So, but I mean, yeah, I'm glad they took that off. You know, people always try it. You know, but then there's always just those people who just want something for free anyway. And it's,
Right.
You know, I mean, no diss on Domino's, but it's like if you're gonna try and get something for free, like go somewhere good. You know, like why are you calling us up trying to get your money back for something that you know like isn't worth it, you know, or whatever? Like, call up Olive Garden or something. Or
Wow.
no, I'm just kidding.
Well, I will say if our stuff's made right and quality, it is good product. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had, you know, I always try to make sure I keep my head level and try competitors and go here and go there and see what's out there. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe my palate is just adjusted, but, you know, I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
You call that pizza or you call this pizza, it's no different, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it is what it is. It's
just
perspective.
It's bread with sauce and cheese on it and stuff, right?
No other good questions on there?
Well, there's the weed question.
The weed question? Music, man.
Something
Where would we be without music?
I don't even want to know.
We wouldn't. This would be. I bet our lifespan would be like
Probably a lot
20 years
shorter.
younger.
Yeah,
Right, because we'd kill
maybe
each
longer.
other.
Yeah, maybe
Right?
maybe longer because you wouldn't have done all those things that they suggested that you do. You know, like drinking and.
Well, you get some of this with some good music, and it's.
Oh yeah.
Next thing you know.
Yeah. What exactly are we talking about?
What?
That thing in your hand. What is that? Is that a bong? What is that? What kind of pipe is that? Speaking of which, I know you don't, but your significant other.
Oh, she
really
definitely
does.
has to partake. I mean, she's a lot of things that people don't know that. And when she was 23, she was clerk at a 7-Eleven.
Mm-hmm.
She got kidnapped.
Jeez.
Right, and she was about to be. This guy was about to do nefarious things with her, whatever. Right, so he had her. So he snatches her out of the 7-Eleven, just slams her on the hood of his car and just dazed the crap out of her. Right, throws her in the back seat, has a knife on her. So she had enough sense of awareness to see a highway patrolman coming this way, and they were doing about 40, 45. So she just kicks the door out and bails and goes into a barrel roll. And then the highway patrolman saw what was going on. He flips it around, arrests the guy and all that stuff. But what it did is it created drama in her body. And so basically now she's I saw one of her X-rays. She's like remember the old erector sets when you were a kid that your parents could get you? Her X-ray kind of looks like that, the way it's got all of her back situated.
Jeez.
So she's got like fused on the bottom, fused in the neck, cadaver, discs, and she's got a spinal cord stimulator. So this little cookie, the Oreo cookie in your ass, and it's got wires that go up down into the spine, and it has little paddles that come off of them. So wherever your nerve is that's most inflamed, it'll run paddles on that thing to kind of confuse it. So I mean, she's just a mess when it comes to pain management.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody tells you, the United States medical industry, when it comes to prescribing the way to take care of your body through pain management, is a mess. It's a joke.
Yeah.
You're getting drugs that deaden signals that you should have.
Yeah.
So she's been getting some special therapy through a pain specialist that does everything non-medicine, and we're getting some breakthroughs. But she definitely enjoys deadening some of that through, marijuana.
Yeah.
Find different ways. I mean, it's a natural path.
Yeah. I mean, it's every time you see one of these things like or like these ads on TV or something, it's. I have depression. I have anxiety. They have all these medications that are like, like take this and like feel better tomorrow or something.
Oh, the 14 warnings about how it can kill you.
Yeah, but then there's more to it. Yeah, like suicidal tendencies and all these like side effects and everything. And I'm just like, dude, just smoke pot. That's
right.
It's fucking, it's legal now. It's not. It's I mean, I'm sure your parents told you it was a drug or whatever and stuff. But I mean, there's like there's strains that cure cancer, and there's the things that like these drug companies, they didn't want you to know that because cancer is a huge business. I mean,
These companies, Pfizer, Moderna, those guys are making.
Oh yeah, they're making it. Yeah.
All this stuff is politically driven, so it's connected into politics. And makes you wonder why we're at where we're at right now, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely like pot. Like there's definitely, it's kind of hard to be sad, all the time when you're kind of just laughing and your
right.
Your glass of wine tastes like really good all of a sudden.
You need that, right?
Yeah, it makes you happy.
Right.
And there's definitely a lot of things that a lot of people that we haven't even tapped into about like marijuana that make your life better. I mean, there's.
Well, I need to tap into if I'm going to do it. I don't want to be paranoid.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it does to me, but I just turn into this like.
Oh, you yourself, yeah.
Like everybody's staring at me. There's a conspiracy. Something's going to happen. What did I do wrong? I need to figure out a way to manage it, or find a strain. To your point, find a strain that doesn't do that, right?
Yeah. Ask questions,
Oh yeah, no, I've done that. I mean,
There's definitely like some of those guys in some of the bud tenders are really like, you just walk in and my wife likes the chewable CBD stuff, and we just walk in and go like, I need something for this thing that ails me, but I don't want to be like a zombie. And
right.
Like, oh well, here, try this, and you try it, and maybe eat too much or something or whatever. Edibles are kind of scary. I don't like edibles anymore.
Oh yeah, like a 10 milligram.
Oh,
oh my gosh, it puts you out. But she knows all the CBD stuff. She does the Tommy Chong stuff.
Cool.
Right, so she knows the ratios, the 10 to 1s, the 2 to 1s, and all that stuff.
Yeah, you just gotta be careful.
Right.
I mean, but then the other thing is is just understand if you get too high. Just like turn your TV off. Don't get in anything that's very confusing or
you don't go load the shotgun, right?
Yeah. No. Just understand that a half hour you're gonna be just fine. So put on a good record or something. And really listen to it. That's another thing with like pot that I like. When I was younger and stuff, like listening to music made. Like there was like certain times when I could hear certain instruments on certain albums that were like one time I was listening to Poison Idea, Feel the Darkness, and I could just hear like mostly the drums, and it
you
was
can
just
extract an instrument,
yeah,
pull it out of there.
Cool. It's cool. Yeah. Music sounds so much better, and sometimes you really understand the things that Neil Peart was talking about, like the trees,
Right.
It's not about trees. It's about the fucking world, man. Subdivisions and all that stuff.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
just like all these.
He talked about so much stuff that is
So
like
much stuff that was
played
just-
out for the future. That's kind of scary.
Yeah. That just kind of, but he would blanket it so well. It was like he buried it so you could see it, but he buried it just enough to where like you could just walk right over it and not even see it or whatever. But I mean,
I saw a documentary.
It made a lot of sense. Yeah.
I saw a documentary on those guys, and then Getty was talking about, he would always be the guy there early, and he'd just be kind of zoning out on the couch in his own little world. We all knew that he was the brain.
Yeah.
And you just got to give him the room. I mean, the trio of men were so gracious to one another to understand one another.
Yeah.
That's why they're still together.
Sure.
Until they die, with Neil passing away. But I mean, just understanding that they gave each other the space and understood what they were doing. Not have anything to do with being an artist. Not have anything to do with being successful. It had everything to do with that's what you do. So I'm giving you the freedom and the space to do that.
Yeah.
Right? And and you could see in the documentary, you could see Neil was kind of just like it's like he was carrying too much. You know what I'm talking about? You could see it in people, in their brain. You're like, man, it's okay. But you see it in his eyes where he's just like, oh man, I'm just stressing about that. I don't know how could you stress? Like if in a very weird alternate world where one of us is a member of Rush, what kind of grace has been bestowed upon us to be able to actually be a member of that band? How could anything be wrong in the world? Period. If the band ended tomorrow, I was a member of Rush.
Yeah, right.
Right? How cool is that? Just
I feel
good
that
to
way
go.
around certain people.
Right.
Yeah. There's definitely things I've gotten to do that are like that. Nobody can take away from you.
Right.
Yeah. So there's so that's pretty cool. Like I got to bring Martha Splatterhead to life in a video, which is pretty cool because So
Right.
So that was cool.
Just like when I was telling you about my son, they're having that celebration yesterday, and they put together this video. It was just 3 music tracks and video pictures of all these different experiences, and you realize like, oh yeah, we've been with that child from then until they're a young teenager, and you see through that journey of 10, 12 years, you see all the touches that have been part of the community that helped raise that child, and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's just like all that history just mashed into one short little thing, and it has an emotional impact on you, right? So it's kind of cool.
It is cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's life. And one of these days you'll teach me. I've let them know, like, I don't want, Christmas is Christmas. If I get something, great. If I don't care. It's just an experience. It's a family gathering, bonding time. But if you guys want to get me something, y'all get together, y'all work together, and maybe you get me started on welding or something. Or I didn't tell them about drums. I'd like to do drums, but I think I would drive my wife crazy. But at least with welding, I can kind of create stuff for her. And I don't know how long did you do that?
I did it in school at South Seattle Community College for a few years, and I remember I was just kind of going through like I just wanted to try something new, I was just tired of the same old kind of whatever job or something. So I went to school for it, and then I did a bunch of art and everything, and it was fun, and I kind of found like blacksmithing was really fun, and just kind of creating like cool gothy. Kind of gothic looking stuff. And,
making knives and shit?
No, not really knives and stuff, but like fences and doors and kind of cool things, and just kind of like any kind of idea somebody gave me, I'd kind of try to make it or something or whatever. And then I got certified in MIG welding. I was going for like stick welding, and then I got out into the real world, and I was making dumpsters, and I thought I was gonna make I thought it was gonna be like that guy from Monster Garage,
right.
Make like bitchin' cars and
nice frames for motorcycles,
all kinds of cool shit, and then I get out and I worked at Capital Industries, and I was making dumpsters, and it was all right. It was kind of fun to like get a paycheck for like a thing that I learned how to do and whatever and stuff. But I remember like I'd be driving home, I'd be picking my nose and picking black boogers out of my nose, and I was just like, I wonder what my lungs look like now. And I already have mild asthma anyway, so it's
I didn't know that it does that shit.
Oh man, it really fucks you up. Like,
can you wear like a filter mask or some shit, or
they have ventilators in some of the places and stuff, and then sometimes they don't, and then so that smoke's just kind of everywhere, and it just gets in you, and it's super toxic, and you just gotta be
I know that.
Yeah, you gotta have a ventilator.
What if you have just like an open garage? If I'm out here fucking around.
I mean, I would do it maybe with the door closed and have like a fan or something going or something. But
door closed? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, you don't want to let too much like air into the. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain.
Danger with the. Oh, okay, I got
something. You. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously people weld outside, but I don't know.
Well, it's the gas, right? And the
gases and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, now you got me all freaked out.
I can't remember why.
Enclosed space.
I haven't done it in years.
Well, my son does it.
Yeah.
They build boats down in. Well, I think he just quit that job, but he was building. I mean, some massive freaking fishing boats.
Like Queechak or something.
Oh.
Ballard.
No, he was in Tacoma somewhere.
Oh, okay. Huh. I didn't talk to him about it.
Right. No, I have been talking to him about it. See, what you're talking about is what I want to get into is like the artsy-fartsy side of it.
Yeah.
Like make cool shit,
Sure. Just rent a shop somewhere or something and get like...
I want to do it in the garage, man.
Maybe.
So open that door right here and then let the fan run it out is what you're telling me? Ventilate it?
Might end up burning your house down. I
don't know. All in the name of art.
Right.
Oh, I love that shit.
Yeah.
And then drums, man. I've always wanted to play the drums. Never could.
Take
I wanted to play the guitar. I got my little ukulele out there.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You can get like some of those electric drums, and there's drum teachers on YouTube and stuff, and
Right.
you know.
I never thought about that. That's free. That YouTube shit.
Anybody want to say hello to, or give a shout out to, or?
Not really. My buddy Frosty, how's that?
All right.
For thinking of me for this crazy podcast journey. Where's the question for you? Where's this journey lead? Is it just an outlet for you?
Black hole. No, I don't know. I don't know yet.
Well, I gotta get, if I can get, like I said, when we end here and you get me situated, do I know my ass from a hole in the ground on this whole YouTube program, then I'll just start promoting the Frosty Chronicles. How's
cool. All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in, and again with Patrick Claffey, and this has been a fun one, and we'll talk to you the next time. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.